updated curriculum has since been adopted in the country's primary and secondary schools. Hello and welcome to this live current affairs program, Let's Talk Education. My name is Marian Shaba. Joining us in the studio tonight is the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Dr. Lazarus Dokora. Dr. Dokora, welcome to the program.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
This is the beginning of the school term. Your message, Honorable Minister, to the parents, guardians, and other stakeholders.
Well, to begin with, the first day of term implies that learning and teaching is reconnecting in a season of learning. And we expect that all kids have been prepared during the holidays, and they've had good fun as well, and have a hunger for knowledge. The teachers too have had, we hope, a restful vacation, and that they are back in full force to commence their duties. To the parents and guardians, I think they have been looking forward to this moment. They've been taking their kids on vacation, taking them into the rural areas, and those in the rural areas into towns and so on, to ensure that the kids get to know the full breadth of the family setup, grandmothers and brothers and uncles and so on. So we are very excited about the fact that we've been able to commence without any hitches at all. And we expect that the parents too have made good what they owe the schools. Because at the end of the day, we don't expect kids to get into school and find that the resources are constrained by what should have been taken care of before.
Mm-hmm. Honorable Minister, back to the updated education curriculum. Let's talk about the Teacher Capacity Development Program. What measures has the ministry taken to capacitate the teachers?
Well, we began some time ago, in fact, before the actual launch of the updated curriculum, to look at the sets of skills that would be required in any shift in the curriculum of our nation. And this was the reason why in 2014 we invited His Excellency the President to launch a teacher capacity development program for us in July. And since that date, we have approximately some 3,000 teachers who are being upgraded through 5 universities, Bindura, GZU, Midlands, and so on. And they're being upgraded in the key areas of interest to the updated curriculum. Mathematics, the sciences, the tech voc are some of the disciplines that they are upgrading their skills in, including, of course, indigenous languages and culture, which is the responsibility of GZU. And this area, in our view, has prepared these teachers to discharge their responsibilities with confidence and a mastery of their fields of study, which is a good thing for any school to have such teachers who can discharge their responsibilities without hesitation.
Mm-hmm. Honorable, what should we expect in phase 2 of the curriculum implementation?
Well, phase 2, as you know, it was launched on 10 January this year. And it continues into the second term, third term going forward. And that the 3 grades that entered phase 2 remain in phase 2, of course. Your ECDA, your grade 1, your grade 3. And then at secondary school level, your Form 1, your Form 3, and your Form 5. These remain in the process of delivering the updated curriculum. In the second term, as we've just started, there will be an opportunity midway through the semester, through the term. There will be an opportunity for these schools that are, these grades and forms that are involved, to showcase what it is that they would have learned in the course of the current term through the structure, a delivery mechanism of the updated curriculum, which we've called the SASAF series, which is the School Annual Arts Science Festival. In the second term, of course, we are now operating at the district level, so we call it the DASAF. And before the end of this term, it will also be operating at the provincial level, where all schools will now converge and showcase the best in the different fields I've just identified that are made up of the DASAF and PASAF series. But of course, Miriam, you also recall that in the last weekend we had visitors from Namibia, from Malawi, and to other countries who were in this country as part of what is called COSASA Games. Now, this is the Confederation of Southern African School Sport Association. And what we are now looking at is to say, beyond the PASAF, beyond the provincial levels, we will go to the national. And the national must yield into the SADC framework. And therefore it will no longer be next year and beyond, it will no longer be just coming into a member country for purposes of just sport. It will also now embrace the sciences. It will embrace the arts and so on, so that we are truly reflective of our different potentials that are in the among our kids that we have in our school system. So there's a lot to look forward to. And of course, we are deepening the workshops to continue to improve skills among the heads of schools, as well as the teachers themselves in the course of the second term.
Mm-hmm. Honorable Minister, you've alluded to the updated curriculum currently affecting the, no, I shouldn't be saying affecting, being implemented in ECDA, grade 1, grade 3, Form 1, 3, and 5. When are we also going to have the other grades embracing the new curriculum?
In terms of the implementation matrix, as we go year by year, we roll over into the subsequent year. For instance, ECDA this year will proceed on the new platform into ECDB in 2018. And the kids coming into ECDA in 2018 will be on the new platform. The grades that are going to remain on the old platform relate to grade 4, the current grade 4s. They will go into grade 5 and remain on the old curriculum. They will proceed into grade 6 on the old curriculum and proceed into grade 7 on the old curriculum. It's designed to ensure that as we implement the new, we are also able to compare with the old. And any fine adjustments will be made without cost to the potential of every learner. So you follow the algorithm of the year in order to ensure that you are aware in this year it's a new platform, and therefore that class continues the following year on the new platform.
Viewers, for your views and comments on issues raised on this program, kindly get in touch with the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education on their WhatsApp number 0774-025-571. That number again, 0774-025-571. Of course, we've got Minister Lazarus Dokora, who is the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education. We'll take a break on Let's Talk Education. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Let's Talk Education. In the studio today, we're joined by Dr. Lazarus Dokora, who is the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, of course, as we delve deeper into the updated education curriculum. Honorable Minister, how prepared is the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education in terms of infrastructure development to complement the upgraded education curriculum?
Well, thank you for that question. First of all, when we carried out this mammoth task of upgrading the curriculum, there are key areas that constitute pillars to the curriculum itself. We have the legal and regulatory framework to say, as we have updated the curriculum, there are certain of our regulations and even certain of our legal requirements which have now become dysfunctional to the way we must now conduct education business in the country. I'll give you a quick thumbsuck example, like, you know, a regulation that says a school shall not make profit out of what it does. And I mean, we are now busy promoting entrepreneurship, we've diversified the curriculum so that schools can do something, and that something can actually, in fact, earn that school, some resources, and therefore be able to maintain at a reasonable level the levy regime and so on. So a regulation like that is dysfunctional. So you have to now take the corrective measures. We've also said that another pillar is that of fostering research in the ministry. And so we've said we'll set up, and it's already underway, a Center for Education Research and Development and Innovation and Development. It's a very important idea because up until now, we've tended to rely solely on the researches pursued by other entities. We send our teachers, of course, to the universities and so on. But when you really want to answer the question, how do we demystify mathematics or numbers? How do we demystify the teaching and learning of science? You need classroom practitioners who can pursue a research that is contextualized, and when they are able to bring to the fore their findings, those findings can be generalized very quickly in the system. And one of the key pillars, therefore, is in fact infrastructure. I've just identified two others, and infrastructure is one such. Because we are, and indeed we have been completely aware since 2013, we had a formal conference, the first conference in the ministry under our mandate, to say, let's identify and locate every possible site with adequate numbers of kids at the time and suitable ground and so on. And we were able to identify that as a system, we had a deficit of some 2,056 schools in the country. And therefore, you couldn't then talk about updating a curriculum without expressing a variety of strategies to resolve this issue of infrastructure. So there are a number of things that we will be undertaking. One is to use the bilateral relationship that our country has with various nations in the world. And our president is an esteemed figure in international terms. We have a relationship with China, and the Chinese have been good, and those of you who are in Harare will probably have noticed something happening in Heathcliff. We have a Friendship High School which is going up there, a modern state-of-the-art high school. but it's also in conformity to our design, because we've redesigned what we call a school now, and teachers' housing and so on. We've redesigned them so that we do not build a school and then within 12 months we're walking back there to repair the school. We should build structures that last. And Heathcliff High School, or Friendship High School, will be one such model. So the Chinese will be delivering, and we have some 6 schools, 4 of them already delivered, including one in Lupane, and another in Chwaridzo, one in Warren Park here. 2 more yet to be delivered. That's grants through friendship relationship between this country and others. We also have loans, bilateral loans. And these bilateral loans mean that we have to pay back the money. It's not free money. Mm-hmm. And we do have just now under OFID or OPEC, the opportunity I signed some 3 weeks back, a 20 million grant, which we have now provided for its implementation, that program. The consultant is in place, and implementation committee is in place, and we must build 12 primary schools straight away, brand new, from teachers' housing to laboratories, and 5 secondary schools. We are hoping that we can use a mixture of strategies as well in order to achieve cost savings, so that we can do a few more schools with that same amount. Mm-hmm. And then the third component, which is key, we went back to Cabinet to seek authority to engage the private sector, bring the private sector into the scheme of delivery of infrastructure for schools. We call these now the joint venture program, because the private sector must deliver infrastructure on terms that are amenable to government, and with the assistance of some consultants and our financial advisor. There were certain key things that we had to do. We have appointed a financial advisor in the form of the IDBZ now, and we've also now, we're due to sign pretty shortly, it could be in the course of this week or next week, the consultant for that program. And Cabinet did say to us, deliver the first 100 schools through this methodology, and then we assess whether there is value for money, and we authorize you to continue on into phase 2, when we must now deliver on 600 in batches of 600 going forward. So these are matters that are current, which are important, but as I said, as we deliver the new infrastructure now on the new designs, we are also embracing the provision for teachers' housing, laboratories, including laboratories in primary schools, because now the emphasis is on the sciences and the technical disciplines alongside the traditional disciplines.
Mm-hmm. Honorable Minister, you have an education conference that is coming up in August. I understand it's the 3rd edition of that conference. Take us through the highlights of what to expect from that conference.
Indeed, it's a high point for us every 2nd year to be able to deal with an education conference. The last one was in 2015, mm-hmm. At which point we invited His Excellency to open it for us. And one of the things he said at that conference was that we live in an age of technology. And this 3rd conference, I don't doubt it, that it will be exciting, because every head of school will be there, primary, secondary. We also expect the HODs, the senior teachers, to come on board. And then, of course, in the context of that, I have invited some of my colleagues in from other countries. The Minister of Education, Cuba, has kindly agreed to come, and I've also invited my colleagues within the SADC region. The last time we had Namibian Minister of Education, and the Deputy Minister from Botswana, and as you know, last year we hosted the South African Minister of Basic Education. It's a fraternal space, and we expect some very good research papers and discussions to go on.
Honorable Minister, thank you so much for coming through to this discussion.
Thank you for having me.
On that note, we've come to the end of this live broadcast of Let's Talk Education. Of course, we had Dr. Lazarus Dokora, who is the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, talking more on the updated education curriculum. Of course, for your views and comments on issues raised on this program, please contact the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education on their WhatsApp number 0774-025-571. That number again, 0774-025-571. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.